الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أقم الصلاة لذكري. Respectful honorable friends, brothers and sisters listening at home. The topic being that of the importance of Salat in our lives, and what an impact Salat has on our lives as well. That our ruhaniyat, our iman is protected by means of our Salat. And it is our Salat that will enter us into Jannah. Something that was mentioned towards the end of yesterday's program, that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not made Salat a burden upon us. It is we who regard Salat to be a burden. And because we regard it to be a burden, psychologically, that is what occurs. It becomes hard and it becomes difficult for us. It is all to do with a person's attitude towards Salat. An example is just a couple of days ago, somebody was mentioning with regards their situation that due to change of occupation and work and the duties of this work which has already been set out, they'll most likely be missing their Jummah for the next couple of weeks. Until now they become settled and they are able to then put their case forward that they need to be given time off for Jummah. So this individual as well, I had mentioned to him, that's fine, but with regards to Jummah, it's up to you. If you just keep it the way it is, then they're not going to accommodate for you on their own. They think you are fine with it. But the moment if you put a claim in that, look, you need to be able to go for Jummah, so things need to be around that. I'm 100% sure that they will accommodate for it. But if you yourself are complacent and you don't show the emphasis towards it, you are fine with it and they're going to be fine with it. So it's all a case of how our attitude is. We think, okay, it's these circumstances, so now we have to just leave it the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it, and that's how it's going to be. Then that's how it is going to be then. However, if we were to show the importance of it, that no, look, Salat is important, and that too, Jummah from all Salats, we're not talking about the first Salat, they've got a longer period of time where they can just make up for it and read it, but this is Jummah. So from the beginning, now for you at a later stage to now make your claim in that things going to be around Jummah, they might say, but what happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, what was then? That time Jummah wasn't so important for you, now all of a sudden Jummah becomes so important for you. It is how our attitude is. And where there is a will, there is a way. If a person wants to, Allah Ta'ala, and I mean, look, there's no way, if you want to, Allah will make it happen. If you want it, Allah Ta'ala will make it happen. And then too, if circumstances are such that no, you just face a brick wall, then you won't be held accountable to it at all. But if you're not going to make any effort towards it, then this is exactly, then you are to be blamed. Despite mentioning whatever I did, still the response was not one of, yes, mashallah, that's fine, I'm going to put my claim in and I'm not going to miss Jummah. It was make dua for me. It's case of make dua for me. So, and usually there's different ways of how a person says make dua for me. A lot of times the case of amal nahi karna, when you say dua ki jaye. It's like, just make dua, like give me tawfiq kind of thing. Not that, inshallah, I've got the age, you make dua for me as well. And both of these, your dua and my azam, my intention, we'll be able to do it, but it's just a case of, okay, make dua for me. Mean that I don't have intention to make amal upon it. Whereas, alhamdulillah, in this country, to a great extent, a lot of non-Muslims, non-Muslim workplaces, they do accommodate and go out of the way for Muslims. They go out of the way for Muslims. And alhamdulillah, and where they don't, we do have certain rights, I'm sure. as workers would know who they are, certain rights that they are able to execute as well and exercise. So if we want to, if we have, it's in us. If we understand the importance of something, then we will go all out for it. But it's just a matter of us getting that importance within us, that what is important for us. If other things, other leave, other time off, those things are very important for us, then we will go all the way to the union to get our rights with it. If salat was just as important, then we will go all the way to union as well. But majority of the time, it will be rare. Few places maybe they might be a bit awkward with a Muslim or so. But a lot of places they will accommodate for Muslims, whether they like it or not. And you'll be surprised that a lot of places is a case of, it's not that they don't like it, they will go out of the way for it and they will accommodate. And there are many examples of people who will mention wherein their experience have been wherein special rooms have been given to them in the workplaces. To the extent one person was mentioning of how the actual manager himself would vacate his office room for the person to read salat there. He would give his office for him, that nowhere else, you don't have to go anywhere else, here's my office. And that too, he would leave the office, he would walk out from there, despite being told that no, you can remain if you want to, it's all yours. And the manager himself would move out. Whereas we would think, no, the manager is the one who's going to be awkward and he won't allow. But whose heart is the manager's heart? That manager's heart is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after all. The manager is controlled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah Ta'ala wants to, and depending how we are, our managers are going to be such. How we are, our leaders are going to be such as well. The way the 1 minute madrasa that we have usually after us, in there, in one of the babs, it is mentioned there as well. That depending on hadith as well, that depending on how we are, our umara, our leaders are going to be as well. If we are going to be righteous, they will be righteous. If we are going to demand piety and righteousness, we will get what that is. And that is how people will be dealt with as well. Yes, a person who is not punctual upon deen, they won't get deen coming towards them because they're not on deen. And that person who is and wants to, Allah Ta'ala will open up ways for them to make it easy for them to perform their salah. And one example of one individual, mentioned this a few times in the past. One brother from Huddersfield, punctual on his salat as well, and he had a job as a lorry driver, trucking. So he's a truck driver, and his companion was a non-Muslim. And in their trips, long-haul trips and that, his non-Muslim colleague had more fikr for his salah than he had. But his initial concern was that whether he would be happy with him stopping every so often to read his salat or not. So he was concerned that what his attitude will be, what his reaction would be. But in actual fact, it would be a case of that he was more keen and keep on asking him, but is it time now? Is it time now? The station is so many miles, you know what I mean? So he would be doing all the homework as to where the stations are, where we can stop. To the extent that one place he went there and he went actually inside to the customer service or wherever he went there and said that, look, my colleague wants to read, you give him a room to read somewhere. He went into the service station, demanded that, look, you should be given a room. Who is this? He's a non-Muslim. In Allah la yidu hadha deen bi rajulin fajir. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the hadith as well. Allah Ta'ala sometimes takes the work of deen from a fajir shakhs as well, a non-believer as well, to help this deen. But that is because we were intent on it. If we have that intention, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the means for us, but it's up to us. So if we have it within us that we want to maintain something, just now, not long ago, before Asr as well. One Sadi, alhamdulillah, who's been coming for Salat during the month of Ramadan, and we do have people who, alhamdulillah, come on to Salat in the month of Ramadan. It's a case and it's a matter of maintaining it afterwards. So I mentioned to this person that it's very good that we're seeing you in the masjid, it's good that you're coming to the masjid. To which, yes, alhamdulillah, he said, make dua as well. And I said, yes, now it's a matter of maintaining it after as well. It's a matter of maintaining it afterwards, and that is most important. And that is now up to the individual. If our intention was that, look, we're going to come to the masjid for the sake of, just for the month of Ramadan, intention is only the month of Ramadan. Although Allah Ta'ala can change that as well. But if we're going to be limited, our amal and our actions will be limited as well. If we're there for the long haul, and the long haul is, hatta ya'tika al-yaqeen. The long haul is till death, till the time of death. If we have that azam, and there's no relaxation here for us. For a mu'min, for a believer, there is no holiday. Salat is part and parcel of our lives. Yes, at the end of the month of Ramadan, there won't be any first fast until another year. Another year, there won't be any first fast. Those who have discharged the zakat, if the zakat was incumbent upon them, no, there's no zakat on them till another year. But salat is something that's going to reoccur. It's going to reoccur on a daily basis. And that is something that we're not going to have any time off from. And we need to mentally prepare ourselves and realize that look, this is something which is part and parcel of our lives. Just the way eating, drinking, these things are part and part of our lives. That what time we have breakfast, what time we have lunch, what time we have our evening food, and that all these things are set accordingly. Our salat is something that needs to be set within our lives as well. That it isn't a case of a period of time we will read salat and then we'll stop reading salat, we'll read salat again and then we're going to stop. No, it is something that we need to maintain all the time. It is for this reason that in this month of Ramadan, when people are now punctual, not only just punctual on salat, but we increase our salat, we increase our nawafil, we increase the nawafil on daily basis in the form of the tarawih salat as well. When a person gets into that habit, such a habit, then when you'll find that on the day of Eid, compared to other salats, on the day of Eid, for the Eid salat, there is no azan. There is no azan for Eid. For Jummah as well, there is azan. There is two azans there. For Eid salat, there is no azan. Why there is no azan for Eid salat? Because now a believer has become so punctual with his salat, and he has become so inclined towards his salat that now he'll come without being called even. For the other salats, a person needs to be called towards salat. We have the azan to call us towards salat. But for the Eid is a case of now he doesn't need to be called without being called, without azan and iqamah. Without that he'll come on his own now out of enthusiasm to come for salat. That is the reason behind, the hikmah behind the not being any azan for the day of Eid. And this is how we should be, our intention should be as well, that if we haven't, come on to salat now. If we have, that it is something that we're going to maintain our entire lives, there's no leaving of it at all anymore. And if we are not performing it with Jamaat, then we need to be punctual upon that as well in the month of Ramadan. If we have been, then this is something that we do not want to leave afterwards. This is not the attitude that we should have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us so much, Allah ta'ala rewards us so much, and how I've mentioned to you previously in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, that how Allah ta'ala showers His mercy and His rewards in abundance upon us in this month of Ramadan. Why? For who? Not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Neither has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained fasting upon us because now there is deficiency or reduction in the rizq and rozi that Allah Ta'ala can give. So now it needs to be reduced. That isn't the case at all. It is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that needs our extra nawafil, ibadat, sadaqah, zakat, or anything. We need that opportunity. We need that opportunity to be doing the ibadat. And if Allah Ta'ala had not given us the month of Ramadan, would we be doing what we are doing now? We wouldn't be. Today it would be just a normal day as it will be now. If you come to the 20th of Shawwal, normal day. It will be a normal day wherein all the masjids will be very less in capacity to what it is now. And thereafter will be as normal routine. Will we be reading as much tilawat of the Quran? Hardly. Not that much at all, or probably nothing at all. Will we be so inclined towards goodness, our nature, our character, our giving, and all these things? A big change will come about in us later on. So, if the month of Ramadan had not been granted to us, our lives would have been as normal. Let's carry on, getting away and away from Allah Ta'ala, closer towards dunya, and far away from the akhirat and doing anything for the akhirat. Allah Ta'ala blesses us with this blessed month. And not only that, and now that we come towards the end, and now very soon, we will enter into the last lap of the month of Ramadan. The last ashara of Ramadan, the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, wherein the auspiciousness increases even more. The auspiciousness increases even more towards the end, wherein a person will have like a runner who might have, where a person who is working out also may have a lot more strength at the beginning and then towards the end they slow down, but it's a case of this is the time wherein you do not slow down, this is the time wherein now you sprint to the end. This is a time wherein now you need to make the extra effort, where Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam himself would make extra effort, whereas Nabi sallallahu didn't need to, but he would do. Nabi Kareem sallallahu would awaken the Azwaj Mutahharat to wake up and do the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during these nights. So again, this is the grace of Allah ta'ala, that Allah ta'ala has given us these last 10 days. And then from there we have the auspicious night of the night of Qadr. Again there, do ibadat one night and you'll get the reward of 83 years of ibadat. The ibadat of 83 years, Allah Ta'ala is willing to give us that amount by just doing ibadat in one night. That is the golden night that lies ahead, my dear friends. And when is that night going to occur? We do not know. And great wisdom, because this ummah is such that if we knew which night, then bilkul chutti, the whole Ramadan chutti, whole Ramadan nothing at all. And all the masjids, rooftop, everywhere would be jam-packed on just that one night. If it was fixed already which night it would be. That's how we would be. That is how we would be thinking that that's it, only on that night and that is sufficient. So this is also hikmah that Allah Ta'ala has raised the knowledge of when the night of Qadr is. Although it was told to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Sallallahu was aware of it, but then Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the knowledge of that was removed. So this is the blessing of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. When is it? It can be in any of the odd nights in the month of Ramadan. Which means that it is important that we get this out of our heads, that the night of Qadr is specifically on the 27th. No, that isn't the case. Because if we come into these nights with this attitude, that it will be on the 27th, and if it's not, what if it's on the 21st, 23rd or 25th, we've missed it out. It could be on the 29th as well, and we will miss out if we just restrict it to the 27th. It is Nabi Kareem says mentioned what? Search for it in the odd nights. And depending on when the person began the month of Ramadan, for us tonight is that night. 20th finishes, this night, tonight is the 21st, the night precedes the day. So this is one of those nights, the first of the odd nights. So the night of Qadr could be tonight as well. It could be on the 23rd. So these nights we should value these nights. Make the most of it. And when we talk about night, the night begins from after Maghrib as well. Which means that a person does not have to delay that, look, we can only start doing whatever ibadat we want to after Isha, and after Isha is going to be Tarawih, after Tarawih. No. It starts after Maghrib, which means that whatever ibadat a person does after his Maghrib or her Maghrib Salah, that is all the ibadat part of the night, ibadat of the night of Qadr. And here also, my dear friends, look at the hikmah here, that it is on the odd nights. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, seek it, search for it in the odd nights. Why? So that you do not become tired exerting yourselves throughout all the nights. So you do ibadat one night, you can rest the other night. Ibadat the one night, rest the other night. But at the same time, the nights that you're going to rest, you'll still get the reward of the night of Qadr. The resting period as well, you get the same reward of that of the night of Qadr. Why is that? Again, a hadith Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentioned with regard to that person who keeps a horse. He keeps the horse for the sake of utilizing it in the path of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. He's kept it for that intention. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu mentions that whatever feed that you give it, that, and not only that, but whatever urine and whatever droppings of that animal, dung of that horse, all of that, the urine as well as the dung of that horse, all of this will be placed on the mizan, on the scales on the day of Qiyamah. All of this will be placed on the scales on the day of Qiyamah. Abhavna King is going to be a bit of smelly on the day of Qiyamah. So it's not going to be the actual urine and the dung itself. Allah Ta'ala will give a representation of it, and that will be placed on the scales. So why will that be put on the scales? What's auspiciousness of the urine and the dung of that horse and the food of the horse? The reason being is because all of that is part and parcel of keeping the horse with the intention of utilizing it in the path of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. So the night's rest is so that you can exert yourself for the following night. So that night of rest itself is for ibadat as well. So even those nights a person will get the reward of doing the ibadat of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. So a person exerted themselves during the night, so the following night now they're tired. So they rest so that they can get some strength. So the next night they're going to remain awake. So even that night does not go in vain. This is how much Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala gives and how much Allah Ta'ala rewards us. And it's not necessary that a person has to remain awake the entire night. Although for us in these days, it is a lot easy that a person can do quite a bit because the nights are short. But by saying that the nights are short, we shows it even more that how valuable the time is from after Maghrib. How valuable the time is from after Maghrib because the nights are short. Before you know, not long you have your sehri and that, you after Tarawih and that, just get a bit of rest before you know sehri time. So time is short. So when time is short, we do not have time to waste at all. It is valuable time, valuable time. And for that, my dear friends, we have those who are the mu'takifeen, who are in I.T.A for that purpose as well, so that they are guaranteed to get the night of Qadr. Guaranteed to get the night of Qadr. And because of that, the night, the masjid remains open as well. So if we also feel that, look, if we are going to go home, and by going home we're going to get tired, we're going to get involved in gubshab and other things and that, and we might not get the opportunity to do any extra ibadat. Because alhamdulillah, even if you don't do anything at all, the fact that you've read your Maghrib Salah, the Sunan after Maghrib Salah, you've read your Isha and Tarawih Salah, all this is going to still be ibadat for you anyway. It is still going to be ibadat for you, so you'll still get the night of Qadr. That is how easy it is. Let us do these things. As the Hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, whoever reads the Isha Salat gets the reward of spending nisf night, half the night in Qiyam. And whoever reads Fajr gets the rest, so you get the reward of the entire night in Qiyam by reading the Isha and Fajr Salat with Jama'ah. Without doing anything else, you'll get that reward. So that is something that is very easy for you to get the reward of. But when we have these type of opportunities, a person naturally will feel that, look, you want to do something yourself as well. That yes, the salah that we did, Tarawih Salah, alhamdulillah, that was with congregation. So we did that with Jamaat. So the person feels, now let me do something individually as well. So for our own individual ibadat, the time is very short. So if we feel that by going home we won't get that opportunity, then spend the night in the masjid. Spend that night with the intention of itikaf. Spend that time in the masjid. And yes, by all means, you can go off just to do your sehri and come back again. Spend till that time in the masjid. Masjids will remain open of the itikaf. So at least a person can get, and as mentioned to you, the nights are short as it is. So it's not a case of a long slog throughout the night. And even then when the nights are long, Allah Ta'ala doesn't want, and Deen and Sharia does say that each person has to remain awake the entire night, each person according to their ability. And each person according to what position they're in. There may be those who do not need to go to work the following morning. They can stay awake more. There are those who have an early start in the morning, so for them it might be restricted. So each one accordingly. And al-ajru ala qadri nasbi. Each person will be given according to their situation, to their qurbani, what qurbani they are making, Allah Ta'ala will give them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give according to a person's intention as well, meaning that a person who wanted to spend more time, but knows that, look, he needs to get his rest because of the work the following day, so he does a little in that time. That little Allah Ta'ala wants to, Allah Ta'ala will increase it and give him reward of the entire night as well. Because he had the intention that if he had taken off work, or if he had been given time off work, or if he wasn't at work, he would have spent more time in the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he will get the similar reward as well. That's how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is willing to give. But it is the case of that, look, Allah is there to give, are we takers of it or not? And this month is one where Allah Ta'ala is giving so much. It is a matter of how much do we want to take, and do we want to take or not first of all? That is one. And the other is when in taking, how much we want to take from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is all upon us. If we want to take full with both hands and take as much as we want, or if we just want to, like, sharamati, just take a little, just take something. So it's a case in when you go for, in the past Hajj and that, you have certain vans, but then they give out sort of drinks, juice and certain things, water, zamzam and that to the Hajjis and that. So there as well you will find that there are those who, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them means. So they know that they're not so much in need, but sometimes just for the sake of the barakat, for the sake of the barakat, they might just take one packet from there. Knowing that, look, you give it to others, there's others who are more in need. And then there are those who are in need, and those who are in need, they're not just going to take one handful, they just take as much as you can. Take as much as you can, isn't it? Because they know they are in need of it. But this month of the Ramadan, none of us can be just picking. And those who are keeping their hands behind and not doing anything at all, but I don't know. जैसे आज किसी का फोन आया था, Then sometimes we should do shukr to Allah Ta'ala that we have just that amount of ahmiyat of doing something in month of Ramadan. So this lady, she asked me, could you tell me when Eid is? Can you tell me which day Eid is? When is Eid? So, it's all subject to the moon, and we'll know at the end of the month of Ramadan, at the end of the month of Ramadan. So, oh, is that what it is? Meaning that she asked appropriately because she needs to take time off work. So for work purposes, she needs to know when Eid is. It was for that reason. But it was a case of which I can understand people will ask, but a person can ask more or less, what days are we looking at, kind of thing. But here it was case of the manner in which the person was speaking, asked was, and when I mentioned them, it's subject to the moon sighting, depending, we'll know towards the end, on the 29th or the 30th, that it seemed that this person didn't have a clue and thought that it is something that is already fixed beforehand, not realizing at all that this is something that, look, if you work out yourself, that if yours is the 20th or yours is the 21st today, then accordingly calculate yourself when the 29th or the 30th is going to be. So any person will get an idea, everybody will get that idea already. As it is, everybody is looking at each day on the timetable and calendar anyway. So month of Ramadan, everybody knows what day is in Muslims. It just shows that we're so away that we don't even realize, look, today is the 20th or it's the 21st or so. So accordingly, look, each person can realize that, look, Eid is going to be either this day or either that day. So this is how far sometimes people are from deen, my dear friends. That this auspicious, that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he mentioned that curse be to those who get this month and are deprived, shows that yes, there are those who are deprived. There are those who are deprived. There are those who the month of Ramadan comes and goes and no effect on their lives at all. So it is according to us, it is up to us how much we want to reap from it. Do we just want to take that one much or handful, or do we want to take as much in from the blessings and the barakat of the month of Ramadan? That's upon each one of us. Hence, my dear friends, valuable nights, valuable time. Let us make the most of it. Make the most of it these nights, dear friends. Whatever we can do, be part of the congregational ibadat as well. And then aside from that, whatever little we can do, whatever, exert. These are the nights to exert ourselves. For everything else, we exert ourselves. We know that this is the time for tijara, this is the time for business. For instance, here maybe not, but there are those countries wherein markets and shops and those open during the night. Hindustan, Pakistan maybe as well, and in Arab countries, a lot of these countries as well, wherein markets, things open at night. So when open at night, for them, this is a peak time. This is a peak business time. So that at night, the merchant knows that, look, this is the time that I need to exert myself. And people will be in the bazaar, and the bazaar will be open throughout till Fajr. Why? Because they know this is the prime time. And unfortunately, there too, they should realize that time should be given for both, that the ibadah shouldn't be gone there. But to show you the importance that merchant knows of that night period, because this is when the prime business is. For us as well, my dear friends, these odd nights, this is a prime time, the most valuable time that we cannot put a value to it, a price to how valuable it is. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq and understanding. At the end of the day, everything is from tawfiq. Whoever Allah Ta'ala gives tawfiq. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.